Hi, it's great to meet you and see you on CITAM ChurchOnline Saturday Special. My name is Reverend Grace Bukachi. Always a joy to see you on Saturday Special. So here we go. Daniel's story. Remember last Saturday, I shared with you about him being in the lion's den? So this time, I want to read to us from Daniel chapter 3, where we find Daniel's friends, Shadrack, Meshack, and Abednego, in the fiery furnace. That's found in Daniel chapter 3 from verse 1. King Nebuchadnezzar made an image of gold, 90 feet high and 9 feet wide, and set it up in the plain of Dura in the province of Babylon. He then summoned the satraps, the prefects, the governors, the advisors, the treasurers, the judges, the magistrates, and all other provincial officials to come to the dedication of the image he had set up. So, the satraps, the prefects, the governors, the advisors, the treasurers, the judges, the magistrates, and all other provincial officials assembled for the dedication of the image that King Nebuchadnezzar had set up, and they stood before it. Then the herald loudly proclaimed, "This is what you were commanded to do, O peoples, nations, and men of every language. As soon as you hear the sound of the horn, the flute, the zither, the lyre, the harp, the pipes, and all kinds of music, you must fall down and worship the image of gold that Nebuchadnezzar has set up. Whoever does not fall down and worship will immediately be thrown into a blazing furnace." Therefore, as soon as they heard the sound of the horn, the flute, the zither, the lyre, the harp, and all kinds of music, all the peoples, nations, and men of every language fell down and worshiped the image of gold that Nebuchadnezzar had set up. At this time, some astrologers came forward and denounced the Jews. They said to King Nebuchadnezzar, "O king, live forever. You have issued a decree, O king, that everyone who hears the sound of the horn, the flute, the zither, the lyre, the harp, the pipes, and all kinds of music must fall down and worship the image of gold. And whoever does not fall down and worship will be thrown into a blazing furnace. But there are some Jews whom you have set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrack, Meshack, and Abednego, who pay no attention to you, O king. They neither serve your gods nor worship the image of gold you have set up." Furious with rage, Nebuchadnezzar summoned Shadrach, Meshack, and Abednego. So these men were brought before the king. And Nebuchadnezzar said, "Is it true? Is it true, Shadrach, Meshack, and Abednego, that you do not serve my gods or worship the image of gold I have set up? Now, when you hear the sound of the horn, the flute, the zither, the lyre, the harp, the pipes, and all kinds of music, if you are ready to fall down and worship the image I made, very good. But if you do not worship it, you will be thrown immediately into blazing furnace. Then what, God will be able to rescue you from my hand?" Shadrach, Meshack, and Abednego replied to the king, "O Nebuchadnezzar, we do not need to defend ourselves before you in this matter. If we're thrown into the blazing furnace, the God we serve is able to save us from it, and he will rescue us from your hand, O king. But even if it does not, we want you to know, O king, that we will not serve your gods or worship the image of gold you have set up." Allow me to pause right there. These three young men, the three young Hebrew boys, Shadrach, Meshack, and Abednego, knew that the God they served, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, was able to deliver them. And they said that even if he didn't, they still knew they had faith in God. Allow me to ask you, do you know the God you serve? Do you have that conviction? It's Saturday, yes, and that was kind of like a long reading for me to do. But you know, I read it because sometimes We need to hear that in the situations and the spaces we find ourselves, it may look like there's opposition all around. And I don't know where you are. I am aware that in our country, some 2 organizations are going to release some members, and perhaps you're watching me and you're saying, God in heaven, where do I turn to? I ask that you hold on to God. Don't give up. Don't give up. Shadrach, Meshack, and Abednego were going to be thrown into the fiery furnace. This is no small little jiko fire, you know? It was no small barbecue bonfire. It was a huge place. Almost think of like a crematorium, like a huge little metal place that they were going to be thrown in alive, not dead, bound, because that's what the next verses say, that they were bound. But allow me to read this next part of the story, because it just tells us the sweetness of the God we serve. You could have found yourself in a situation where you feel bound, where you have no hope. There's hope in God. Listen to what happens to Shadrach, Meshack, and Abednego. So in verse 19, Nebuchadnezzar was furious with Shadrach, Meshack, and Abednego, and his attitude toward them changed. He ordered the furnace heated 7 times hotter than usual and commanded some of the strongest soldiers in his army to tie up Shadrach, Meshack, and Abednego and throw them into the blazing furnace. So these men, wearing their robes, trousers, turbans, and other clothes, were bound and thrown into the blazing furnace. The king's command was so urgent, and the furnace was so hot that the flames of the fire killed the soldiers who took up Shadrach, Meshack, and Abednego. And these 3 men, firmly tied, fell into the blazing furnace. Now, this is the best part of this story. Then King Nebuchadnezzar leaped to his feet, and in amazement, after he had leapt to his feet, he asked the advisors, "Weren't there 3 men that we tied and threw into the furnace?" They said, "Certainly, O king." He said, "Look," this is the king saying, "I see 4 men walking around in the fire, unbound and unharmed, and the 4th looks like the son of the gods." Nebuchadnezzar then approached the opening of the blazing furnace and shouted, "Shadrach, Meshack, and Abednego, servants of the Most High God, come out, come here." So Shadrach, Meshack, and Abednego came out of the fire, and the satraps, prefects, governors, royal advisors crowded around him. They saw that the fire had not harmed their bodies, nor was the hair on their heads singed. Their robes were not scorched, and there was no smell or fire on them. Then Nebuchadnezzar said, "Praise be to the God of Shadrach, Meshack, and Abednego, who has sent his angel and rescued his servants." They trusted in him and defied the king's command and were willing to give up their lives rather than serve or worship any god except their God. "Therefore I decree," said Nebuchadnezzar, "that all the people of any nation or language who say anything against the God of Shadrach, Meshack, and Abednego be cut into pieces," yikes, "and their houses be turned into piles of rubble, for no other God can save in this way." Then the king promoted Shadrach, Meshack, and Abednego in the province of Babylon. What an ending! Because of their faithfulness, because they were willing to remain in that fiery furnace, God himself alikuja mwenyewe. He came himself. That is how the king Nebuchadnezzar saw the 4th man in the fire. And not only were Shadrach, Meshack, and Abednego bound, they were unbound. I pray that whatever your situation, God himself will come through for you. He has in our lives in so many ways. As a mom to young adults, I can only give God the glory for the way he has carried us And if you've been following me on social media, you most likely know that I have a journey with one of my girls that just helps me stay healthy and strong and keep walking. I don't know where you're at in your walk with the Lord. Who's walking with you? Whom are you pouring yourself out to? Whom have you put your trust in? My faith and my trust is in the Lord. And I dare challenge you that as you touch the lives of others, like Shadrack, Meshack, and Abednego touched the life of the king, Nebuchadnezzar, that you would touch a life around you, beyond your family space. May God provide someone for you to touch. So God bless you. It's a privilege always to see you here on Saturday Special and on the other different presentations along CITAM Church Online. Have a great week ahead of you. Enjoy the weekend and don't give up calling on God. He hears you and I, and He answers. God bless you. Bye-bye.